DWAC, the DWAC SPAC, it's a SPAC, folks. It's a temporary, it's only temporary because it's a special purpose acquisition company. That's what it is. That's what a SPAC is. And it's been founded for a very special purpose, one of the most special purposes of all times. Its purpose is to do a deal, and well, before the deal, DWAC, frankly, nothing special in terms of stock or prices, just kind of bouncing all along that $10 acquisition price here. Didn't really have much purpose at all, frankly, let alone a special one. But then all of a sudden, it announced that it was going to do a deal. And many people are saying it's one of the best SPAC deals of all time. Many people are saying that. They're coming up to me in tears in their eyes. They're saying, this is a special purpose. It really is. It's a special purpose. We found our purpose, and the purpose is to take on big tech. And the way they're going to do it is with the truth. Let me tell you, folks, these deals, these SPACs, people say there's no float, and they're right, frankly, because they don't float. It's more like a rocket ship emoji that just pops to the sky, to the stars even. And we're gonna ride it to the moon. We really are, because it's...
This one has 28 million shares out all told, and lots of them are all locked up. So once the market decided the trade was on, anyone who wanted a piece had to grab the offer. It did 496 million shares worth of volume the day it was announced that it would be acquiring Trump Media and Tech Group in a go-public transaction that will give the markets access to an upstart media company whose primary asset is a social media network centered around none other than the big guy himself. DWAC did 133 million shares worth of volume the next day and 96 million the following day, closing at $83.86. Clearly still trying to settle into a price range as the market gauges the momentum and tries to decide what it thinks of the art of this deal.
It's truth social, because the people, they want the truth out there. And frankly, they're not getting it from big tech. Big tech, it isn't delivering on truth and fairness and the First Amendment and free speech in the way the people want them to. It's a very bad deal. And it's, when you look at it, the big tech, they've canceled Trump. Took away the Twitter from Trump. He doesn't have it anymore. He was the greatest tweeter of all time before they canceled him, but they canceled him anyway. But they haven't canceled the Taliban. Haven't canceled them. The Taliban are still tweeting, driving around in Toyota trucks, and doing the type of Taliban stuff. They're very bad guys, okay? And they're still around. But they canceled the Donald, even though all his followers still love him. They love his tweets, love his deals. They're gonna bring him back at Truth Social because he's got so much in terms of likes and retweets and engagement. They're bringing it back at Truth Social, even though it wasn't all good. Not everyone liked him. There were at least as many haters and losers who were jealous of his success, and they...
There's no way to count it, but the haters and losers could easily have been the biggest chunk of his following. For every mega hat wearing beautiful boater, there were at least a couple people who just couldn't believe that America was being run by a Cheeto-in-chief. Teeing off on the guy was the #1 liberal pastime for a solid 4 years, and they never really got sick of it. Trump's replies were wall-to-wall dunks that just never bothered him and spilled over into the larger media ocean like a busted oil well. Colbert could just write jokes about Trump's tweets and replies, and the audience loved it because they were
disgusted that this TV-addicted loudmouth could even be allowed to represent America. He's an attention-thirsty media whore who got kind of mid-grade rich off of real estate investing, and that isn't what Americans want.
But as we all know, of course, the real big state monopoly is big tech, because there are an extraordinary number of people who want to read things the big guy posts while he's on the john every morning. And there are just as many haters and losers. They'll all need to have something to do with it. You just can't ignore him. Whether you need free content on your late night talk show, or you need to advertise something for whatever kind of product, or bad food restaurants, or whatever you've got, and they want it. They need it. They're going to all want to stand up to big tech and the big tech monopolies, because the big tech monopolies, they're very bad, folks. The audience is there. It's there on both sides. The dream is to gather the momentum on social. then build out a media and streaming division, television. It's some of the very best media. Media is something that the Trump organization has always been all about. It's something we know very well. From game shows to beauty shows and game shows, and there's a lot to come, folks. There really is.
Trump can school the fish, but it's going to take an executive team with talent and connections to successfully run a fishery. Someone who knows how to hire and maintain a talent base capable of keeping it all together and operating it as it grows. Nobody ever worked for Trump because it paid well, and nobody's going to take on the hard part for clout.
So it's going to take a guy, executive guy. He's got to be a guy who can make deals, a real deal guy. And the most important deal he makes is going to have to be a deal with big tech.
The company is right about a big tech monopoly. Whether an app is allowed on a phone or not is entirely up to Apple and Google. The Truth team is going to have to find a way to stay in these companies' good graces while convincing their base that it's
the most radical disruptor of big tech. It's not going to be so big when we're done with it, folks. Believe me.
Media is about attention, and there may have never been a larger captive audience begging to be monetized. From here, it looks like the success of this venture is going to hinge on how it's staffed. Nobody at Trump Media and Tech Group has said much about that yet, but
perhaps we should look to the SPAC. This SPAC, they've got some great leadership, some great deal guys, frankly, because they did one of the greatest deals of all time. They did a deal with Trump, which is a no-brainer, of course, but it's all very hard to do. So let's have a look at this SPAC. The CEO of the SPAC was Patrick Orlando. Great city, Orlando, home of Epcot, but Patrick Orlando, he's not an Epcot guy, he's a SPAC guy. And here it says, he ran a sugar operation out of Florida. And he's involved in a lot of derivatives, and that's derivatives in the sugar business, folks. That's going to consist of different kinds of syrup, and those also come in syrup. They come in syrup too. But Patrick Orlando, he won't be CEO for long because he's only the CEO of the SPAC, the board of directors, post-SPAC. Here in the S1, there are nominees that they might be involved. It's hard to say, but we're looking into it very strongly. One of them is Eric Swinder. He's the CEO of Rubidex. It's a data security startup. We're very concerned with data security, folks. It's very concerning because if we don't have data security, if the data isn't secure, then we're at risk of losing everything we built to big tech. I've actually witnessed it twice. Big tech is very bad, folks. Very, very bad.
okay, guys, if you've actually made it this far into the video, I don't know what to tell you. You are a complete masochist. I don't think your parents loved you enough when you were a child, and somehow you were able to sit through this. So I'm gonna ask you this. Please, please,
Smash that like button. Subscribe. Ring the notification bell. Let me tell you, folks, some people are saying, Small Cap Steve has the grace of a puma. More like Rosie O'Donnell in a pair of pumas. All right, thank you, folks. I'll see you all on Truth Social. You're the best. I love you all.